Democrats. Today is Tuesday, March 28th, and it's time for the Chair's Daily Live. Happy Tuesday. Alrighty, it's Tuesday, and we've already had kind of a full week, right? The shooting that happened in Nashville, and, I was talking with the staff of ODP and decided that I don't have any words. I don't have any new words to say until our legislators get backbones, until our legislators decide that children are worth more than their guns. I'm going to save my words for legislators and for real action. And we're not going to talk about it here because I just can't. But what I will talk about is what I always talk about. We are 1 week away from an election. As I've mentioned to you guys, there's an election on April 4th, kind of all over the state. On my ballot, I'm going to have a school board race. And so that's a thing that's happening in Tulsa. In Oklahoma County, there's a race for county clerk. In other counties, there are other municipal offices. And so if you're not sure if you have an election, go out to the Oklahoma State Election Board, click on voter portal, put in your name and birthday, click on sample ballot, and it'll show you if you have a ballot. If you're not sure, take the time now to go and find that. Go find that and study up on your ballot so that you know what's going on. Because every time there's a ballot with your name on, you need to cast it. So in my effort to make sure that everybody is educated when they get there, I have invited a candidate to join me today out of Oklahoma County, the candidate for Oklahoma County Clerk. The Democratic nominee for Oklahoma County Clerk is Pastor Derrick Scobey. So join me in welcoming Pastor Scobey onto our live. Welcome, Pastor Scobey. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm tired. I'm stressed. I'm frazzled. Just mind going in every direction. But I'm good.
All righty. So you were all over the place this weekend, right? I was in one place and you popped in there in between the other candidate stop that you had to do. So you're out there working it.
I am. No doubt. Every single day. A friend of mine called me just about 3 days ago. Well, I'll tell you who it is. Gene Rainbow called. He said, Pastor, we have never seen anybody running a campaign like this. I said, I don't know what I'm doing at all. I just know I get up every morning like super early before the sun comes up, and I go to work, and I'm finished when the sun goes down every single day. We have a great campaign team with Teresa Hill, Corey Abernathy, Christine Bird, and then also Bridget Zorn, who was Joy's campaign manager. She's our fundraising director. So it's got a lot of great people around me, and a lot of great volunteers like the Edmond Democratic Women, the Union guys, Tim O'Connor. It's good. It just helps shore me up on so many different things.
Okay, so I'm going to I'm going to let our audience in on something. I had a conversation, and I'm going to go ahead and leak a name as well. I had a conversation with Jana Harkins about 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. And I said, Jana, can you put me in touch with Pastor Scobey? And she said, well, what do you want to talk to him about? And I said, I don't know him, and I don't know what he's up to, but I bet he's getting ready to run for office. And when I finally got in touch with you, you said, no, Alicia, I'm not running for office. I'm not running for office.
You didn't add the never.
So talk to me about what changed your mind.
Well, so I understand the old adage of never say never, but honestly, Alicia, my never was a never. It was never going to happen. And but I will tell you what changed my mind. I went. Representative Jason Lowe invited me and a couple of other people to some type of meeting at the state capitol where there were a group of legislators that they were trying to change a law where it basically would strip the Oklahoma Pardon and Parole Board's rights away from them as it related to recommending clemency and our commutation to the governor. They said they're not over that if they're like, especially if they were on like a life sentence or death row. It was.
I invited you on my show, and you're going to bring up the governor.
I just said the governor.
Okay, so they invite you to talk to because you had been active.
Yeah, so I was in there and I'm listening to these guys. The only ones that were making any sense was Representative Colin Walkie and Representative Jason Lowe. And everything else, I'm like, where am I? In the Twilight Zone? What is this? So when it was over, they voted and it was even. And they ran and got a guy for him to run in and break the tie. And he broke the tie in order for this to be heard on the floor, in order to start this process. Well, long story short, it ultimately failed. Wonderful thing there. But the news stations asked me afterwards, and I really don't say things for shock value, hardly ever. But this time I did. They asked me, what did I think about that? I said, well, as a child, we would walk up to right here to the state capitol. I lived at 21st and Kelly, state capitol, 21st in Lincoln. You're talking 3 blocks. I said, and we would be in awe of the state legislators, and we thought they could do no wrong at all. And this is back in the mid 70s, Alicia. I'm much older than you, but so when I said, but when I saw what I saw in there and heard what I heard in there, I said it makes me want. This was the shock value. To be like Jed Clampett and go home and load up my family and move away from here to California, away from this god-awful state where the leadership is atrocious. That's what I said. They quoted me in the Oklahoma and in several other places. But that night I went home and I talked to my wife and I said, I'm ready to run for office. And she said, what office? What happened? And I told her, I said, I was in that room and I'm listening to these guys, and these guys do not represent my value system and what I believe in and the direction that this state should go. I have a problem with what I heard in there, and I just want to make a difference somewhere. Fast forward to December. This was about 13 months ago. So fast forward to 4 months ago, I started getting calls about me possibly running for this office. And many probably would ask the question, well, now you talked about the state capitol. It's a far jump to the Oklahoma County courthouse. But the county courthouse, when growing up, my father was an Oklahoma City police officer, kind of the second wave of Black officers from 1956 until 1979. And then I sure do now, and I say that now, Jen, and I'm gonna pause for a minute. Let me give a parenthetical pause. I always have. But I've tried to bridge the gap and get everybody to play together in the sandbox and all that. And I've come to the realization it just is not going to happen. I don't think in my lifetime or our lifetime, but hopefully one day we can do that. But I think we'll be long gone. So, and my democratic values have been emboldened, Alicia, over these 4 months, because I see things and hear things that's coming from over there against me. And I'm thinking, oh, I thought we were kind of buddies.
They fooled you.
Yeah. The one guy said that my friend, Pastor Scobey, the guy that lives there on 23rd in the mansion. Oh, well, he doesn't live there. Well, does he live there? He lives in Edmond. Oh, whatever. So, but my point is this. So my father, he retired from Oklahoma City Police Department in 79, 80. And then he went to the Sheriff's Department. Well, by this time, I'm 13, 14 years old. I used to catch the mass trans bus to downtown, and I would go inside the courthouse so I could see my dad and talk to my dad, because when I was born, my dad was married, and I was a hidden secret until he died when I was 18. That's a story for another day. But I could visit with him, Alicia. That's where I could visit with him and have communion with him, and relationship was there in that courthouse. That courthouse means a lot to me. It really, truly does. And not to mention the fact that I have spent, up until about 4 months ago, I've spent more time at the Oklahoma County Courthouse over the last 13 months, from December back 13 months, than I ever had in my life because I had these two misdemeanor charges pending against me because of the simple fact that I stood in front of the governor's mansion and with my hands up, and I prayed in the middle of the street the night before Julius Jones was scheduled to be executed. And the Highway Patrol, they did not want to arrest me. They kept saying, Pastor, please get up and go back behind the barricade. And I just smiled. At least I said, I'm sorry, I can't do it. And they asked me 3 times, and I just said, the only way we're going to resolve this is you're going to have to take me to jail. So then I had these misdemeanor charges, obstruction of a roadway, which I didn't do, but failure to comply with lawful command. So I had to go to court 6 times over 13 months. And finally, former District Attorney David Prater, he dismissed the charges in the best interest of justice. In the best interest of justice. So the courthouse means a lot to me. And the reason that I'm running is I want to make a difference. Listen, Alicia, let me say it. I'm not looking for a job. I have one. I have a calling. I'm not looking for a platform. I have one of those as well. And I always like to say that I am just a lowly pastor, but my wife is a biotech pharmaceutical sales rep and a real estate investor. I'm not looking for a job. My opponent is looking to continue with the chaos that takes place within that unit, that family unit, and they're looking for a job because her husband's job is about to term out. But okay.
Okay, so you are now running.
Mm-hmm.
There were 103 Democrats that ran for that.
It was 117. Yeah.
And so there is, for Democrats in Oklahoma County, our bluest county.
Yes.
There is a focus on this particular seat.
Like never before.
So tell me why this is the thing. This is the seat, because you could run for House district at your home. Why is this the seat you decided to run for?
Well, never in the history of Oklahoma County have we elected an African-American person to a downtown countywide office.
Okay.
Never. Downtown countywide. Now, we know we have elected an African-American to a countywide seat that's a sheriff. That's not downtown county government. So
and county commissioner.
But that person is a Republican. So I can emphasize more to say never, ever a Black Democrat. I've heard that time and time again, county commissioner, and I continue to say with all due respect that, because many say Willa Johnson, and I said the late Willa Johnson, I say, well, if you say Willa Johnson, you got to say Shirley Darrell before you say Willa Johnson. And both of them, and you know this, Alicia, but sometimes we just processing it. They were District 1. They were not countywide. So then I've had people say, oh, no, Pastor, the late E. Melvin Porter, he was county assessor. And I got you. And I said, he was appointed in 1992 to the county assessor seat for, I don't know how many months, but it wasn't years. It was months. But here's the kicker. I got this from his son, Joel Porter. When he was appointed, Alicia, he was a Republican. So, but he was appointed. We're talking elected. So we need to break this glass ceiling. I don't mean this in any pseudo humility way. I mean it. I believe there are far more representation matters. I'm gonna go there in a minute. I believe that there are young Black, brown people that are far more intelligent, far more qualified than I am on their worst day than I am, at least on my best day. They don't have the same opportunity. So we have to break this glass ceiling. This is not about a Black race. So let's not get that one twisted, but we have to have proper representation. We have 8 people. Some would ask, what does the county clerk, what do they do? Because nobody's cared, it seemed like, about this county clerk office until these two names have been in there. But one cuts checks to all the county staff. But then when the county staff, when they need supplies, anything of that nature, when someone comes outside and does work, the county clerk cuts the check for all of those things. We do know just 2 months ago, the county clerk made an error, cut a check for $620,000 to the IRS, and it was almost $600,000 more than they should have paid the IRS. It was money came out the jail trust account, and in the jail trust account, we didn't have anything left, about $90,000, and we had $500,000 in checks floating. Now, Alicia, you do know that maybe the first 10 checks that would have hit the bank would have smiled and said, "Oh, they messed up. But we're going to pay these 10. That's 30 grand, and it's 50 grand." But by the time for sure it got to about 100, they'd be like, "Oh no, time out. We're not paying no more." So everybody's checks would have bounced. But anyway, it takes care of all of those things. But then the county clerk's office the county clerk has one seat at the Oklahoma County Budget Board table out of 8. There are 8 seats. We have one Democrat on that Oklahoma County Budget Board. One. And we have no Black Democrats on that Oklahoma County Budget Board. So we need representation. There, we need it every single day. So, and let me say this. I have led an office in McKinney, Texas, where I was the general manager. I had 60 salespeople. 60 salespeople, that's like kind of corralling cats, it's tough. And I had 40 administrative people. So 100 staff who answered to me on a daily basis. I was simply, Alicia, the resident social worker, pastor, boss. I just inspired people, kept them on task throughout the day. Would sometimes very firm, because if somebody's coming to a job and they're collecting a check, they need to do their job.
You got to do the job.
But the boss, the manager, can be respectful. And I'm a kind of serious natured person most of the time, but I've been there. And this office only has about 43 staff members. It probably needs a few more. I'm not 100% sure of that, but I've led this 2.5 times that amount before.
So what's your first priority? You're elected. You let Mrs. Treat go and do what she continues to do, and you're elected. What's your first priority?
Well, the first priority would be to really get into that office and really learn the ins and outs of that office. Now, my friend Carolyn Caudill, who was the 5-term, 20-year Oklahoma County Clerk until the previous guy that was ousted, he beat her in 2016. She has taught me so very much. She really has. But you know how it is. Somebody can tell you about how to play basketball, but until you get on the court and really get the ball in your hand, you're not going to know how to play. So, but I'm a pretty quick study. I'm relatively smart person where I can look at something and pretty much figure it out. But here's what I know: people, Alicia, and that is an office of people. It's an office of a lot of paperwork and deeds and things of that nature. But I'm certain there's a competent staff already in place. I need to get in to learn the inner workings of the office, but also learn the people that I would work with who in these other county offices, and start learning what is going on this $112 million per year budget with this Oklahoma County Budget Board, and see how I can possibly make a difference there. But it takes some time. I know a lot of people love to say, "Oh, I'm going to go in there and do this and that and blah, 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 blah." You don't know what you're going to do until you get in there and really understand. But I will tell you one thing, it's more of a technical type of thing. What I don't like is when people log in to watch the meetings, when you're talking about a jail trust meeting or whatever, budget board meeting. Well, they log in, they have one camera. Camera's way at the back of the room. And then if a person's at the lectern, you see their back. You can barely make out the faces of the people. on the horseshoe. Well, this is 2023. I don't see why we can't have multiple angles with these cameras in order. Matter of fact,
You know something about that as a pastor of a big church.
yeah, I do. And I don't know how to do it, but I know people. I know what I would want in my head. I just need to explain it to them. I think that if there is a person that is on a board that is on that horseshoe and they're getting ready to talk some foolishness, because they do it. Oh yeah, you got it. They need to have the camera right on them and them to know, because right now it's way back there. Somebody say, what difference does that make, Pastor? That doesn't make a difference. Well, something about when a camera is in your face, it just kind of makes you think 2-3 times about what you're getting ready to say. So, and it's not costly to do that. And I think, Alicia, right now you will look at these. Let me tell you why a lot of times foolishness goes on in these meetings. Because there are about 10, 15, 20 people there in person. And when you look at it later on YouTube and you see the amount of views, maybe 200, 220. Let's knock it out of the park and say 500, which I don't ever see that. But you're talking, look at all the people in Oklahoma County. I mean, registered voters, you're talking well over 300 and some odd thousand. So there should be more people watching what's going on with Oklahoma County government. But I think if you had a better setup with the cameras, I think people may watch it a little bit more. And I think people would share it on social media and things like that. So that's something I would want to make a change pretty quickly.
Because they could follow it. Okay, so we're already a little bit over time, but you're on a roll, and I want people to hear you. No. I think it's important that the names on the ballot aren't just names on the ballot. People, when they see a name on the ballot, they need to know that person. Yeah. And so this is an opportunity for people to get to know you. So I'm going to give you an opportunity. We have 7 days. We actually have 2 days before early in-person voting starts. How can people help you?
So, wouldn't be a good candidate if we didn't talk about the fact, money. But let me explain, because all this stuff is, we're very transparent, and we know that all this stuff is going to be right there at the Oklahoma County Election Board. It's not at the county. It's not at the ethics place. It's there where you can go pull it. So about 10 or 11 days ago, Alicia, I personally loaned my campaign $20,000. And here's the why. The why was I didn't want to get to the last 7 days, and then we need to do a direct mail piece, which we're sending one out tomorrow. And it's like, oh, we got to, beg for that. And the Chronicle, we did a 4-page ad in the Chronicle. We did a 4-page ad in the Herald, 4-page ad, which is just we paid all those today, and a 4-page ad in the Sentinel. Well, already what I just mentioned is like over $12,000. So I wanted to make sure we were in a good position, but I figured we could raise that back. Then we did a few extra things, but because you just, you want to make sure you want to
got to leave it all on the field.
Got to.
Got to leave it all on the field.
So we had raised like 15,000. Actually, in the last few days, we've raised about 15,000. But now, bottom line, we're 7,000 in the hole. The money's there because I loaned the money to the campaign, but I would rather zero out, Alicia. But if I don't, so what? Which we got 7 days. There's no way in 7 days we're not going to raise something. But I think we can zero out. But that's where people could help. And I will say, people who can max out, I know they may live in wherever, Tulsa County, wherever. But this is an important race because Ward Curtin, who was Vicky Behenna's campaign manager, he said this in a meeting a couple of weeks ago, and I'm in full agreement with him. He believes, and he is a brilliant political mind, he believes that in 8+ years that we can flip every seat in Oklahoma County blue. And Alicia, I think we can. And if nothing else, it's 6-2, 6 Dems, 2 Republicans, 7-1. But I think we can invert these numbers where they currently are. But we need money. And then Also, that's where they can help. But I need people to help drop lit. We have a really great amount of volunteers. Again, Edmond Democratic Women, the Union guys, South OKC Democrat women, and several other groups. But we need some other people to drop lit. We need people to make phone calls. Our campaign office, we have plenty of room. I'm in it now. And you could come here, make calls, starting, I got to get with Teresa and Christine on that. But
where is here? Where is here?
Here is 2740 Featherstone Road, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Just one half a mile, not a half mile, a third of a mile south of Memorial off of May.
So it's 2740?
2740.
Featherstone.
Yeah.
And it's at what in May?
May and Memorial, just behind that big new furniture store that they just built. It's right across the street from us. But we got plenty of room to come in and make calls. So lit, make calls. Certainly we need campaign, we need donations, but I mean, and we've been working. I'm working. They cannot outwork me, Alicia. They can't.
I say that all the time. Republicans may outraise us, but if we're running a real campaign, they're not going to outwork us. And that's what it's going to take in our state. That is what it's going to take to flip some of these seats. And Ward is right. Ward is right. He and I haven't had that conversation, but he's right. We can make Oklahoma County a solidly blue county if we focus, we run good candidates, and we help them once they put their name out there.
That's right. Let me share this because I know we don't have long at all. We're over time, but so today, Governor Walters, he invited me to the Oklahoma City downtown Rotary Club, and it was really good. I mean, just really good connections that we made there. And then he gave me a list, permission to put up these large signs in several of his buildings up and down Class and May. So that's a good thing. But there was a poll that was leaked to me. So just how, people can email you, they can do whatever they want to do. So here's the poll. Let me give the bad news, what it seems like the bad news first, because I want our people to know we can win this race. I'm being cautiously optimistic, but I would venture to say, Alicia, that we're the front runner. Just what I venture to say. So here's the poll. If the 489 people were polled, if they were to vote today, which today was like the 22nd, then 16% said undecided, 44% said my opponent, 40% for old Scobey here. Okay, so that almost sounded like 44% for your opponent, 40% for you, 16% undecided. 5-point margin of error. Okay, so really it's kind of dead heat. Well, but then when I looked at it closely, it was really about 60% Republicans that had been polled, 12 or 14% independents, and then 25, 6, 7% Democrats. So when I looked at that, I realized, I'm only 4 points behind in her camp. So, but then the favorability, my favorability, let me say first, J.C. Watt's favorability was plus six. Joy's plus 6. Derrick Scobey plus 6. My opponent's husband, -6 or -8. And then my opponent, -6 unfavorability. So I look at that and I'm like, wow. And then someone today at the Rotary Club told me, it was a former governor there that wasn't obviously Walters. It was another former governor. And he said, ask him how the people of Oklahoma feel when a career politician thrusts their spouse into running for an office for a paycheck, and how the people of Oklahoma pushed back. He said, ask that governor, because his wife lack of a better term, got mocked. So we don't like that. Let me tell you why we don't like it. Because Oklahoma has some great values. Some. I think we are a great state, not the great state in the context they talk about it. But we have to change the state. We got to get better. We got to get better in a lot of ways. But here's one thing, how we are in Oklahoma. If you didn't work to earn it, we don't want to just give you on a platform. Now we will. We're helpful people. You know, they say that's the Oklahoma standard, but we don't feel that just because you're whoever's connected, your son or your daughter, because they're your son or daughter, they should just get everything handed to them. That's not how we view things. Not really. So I say that to say that poll was very encouraging to and for me. I like that. Say no to it. My wife said it should be illegal. I said, well, that's probably a little, yeah, I don't know about that. But anyway, all right.
Okay. So we have Derrick Scobey running for Oklahoma County Clerk, a position that, frankly, a Democrat hasn't been elected to, and who even remembers when. And we've never had an African-American Democrat in that space. That's not the reason to vote for Derrick Scobey. That's just a side benefit. Yeah. The reason to vote for Derrick Scobey is that if what he's doing to earn the job, all the work he's doing to earn the job is any indication of the work he will do when he gets there, we will have someone who is fighting for Oklahoma County. And so that's what we need. We need someone who understands what the job is and is willing to fight for it, not someone who has an idea of what the job is and will take it to further an agenda that they haven't voiced any concern about before, but just because someone in their household told them they should. We need someone who knows what the job is and who is willing to fight and do the work. And you've heard, we've talked for 30 some odd minutes today about Derrick Scobey. You've gotten an opportunity to learn who Derrick Scobey is. We have 1 week. If you haven't cast an absentee ballot, there is early voting Thursday and Friday, and in-person voting on Tuesday from 7 to 7. Please make a plan to vote. Make a plan to vote. And if you haven't given to Pastor Scobey for this campaign yet, it's not too late. It's not too late. If you're wondering why you haven't heard from him, why you don't have anything in your mailbox, it's because he needs more money. So please reach out, donate, but make sure that everyone you know who is eligible to vote this Tuesday makes a plan and shows up. Thanks for joining me, Derrick.
I just see one thing. You said agenda. Can I tell you my agenda? And I'm being a little facetious with that. Here's my agenda. Run for this office. Should I be elected? Fill the unexpired term. Run again, if the Lord lets me live, as an incumbent. But to get in this position, this seat, in a non-political office, it's supposed to be non-political, non-controversial office. Alicia, for me to learn politics, to learn the ins and outs. I am a novice. I'm just a guy. I've been politically engaged, but I'm not a politician. But for me to get in and get a good understanding, a good grasp. And J.C. Watts asked me this question, my why. And I said, listen, this is not a stepping stone for me. This is an entry point, and those are not synonymous for me. It's an entry point into politics to get a good understanding, run as the incumbent, and then at that time, I'm almost 60. We're talking about 5.5 years. Then I will look to say, what else do I want to do? So I'm not telling anybody that I'm going to sit there for 20 years in the Oklahoma County Clerk office. I do not have any desire to do that. And Carolyn Cardile, when she was in the office, going back to you were talking about Democrats in that seat, she was a Republican for 20 years. And then the previous guy, Republican. So we're talking in the 1980s, Alicia. There's something wrong with that. So, all right.
Exactly. So get out, vote, get out your checkbook, and I'll see you guys tomorrow at 4:15.
Thank you.